This is a Rogue Media Network production.
Welcome to the show. I am so happy to talk to the McLennan County Master Gardeners. If you know me, you know I have Gardening Thursday on my Facebook page, and we love the whole idea of gardening, getting our hands dirty. And so we're going to be talking about what's happening in Central Texas with the Master Gardeners. So I want to start out over here next to me, Amy Maley Johnson, who is with the Master Gardeners. Barbara Vance, who I've known a long time, and you tell me you were one of the first class of Master Gardeners?
First class, 96.
Okay, so you've been at it. And a new friend of mine that I met at, of all things, the Waco Iris Growers Society meeting, Nicholas Washington. And so I didn't get a chance to visit with you at the meeting, and we were in the car, and you came out and knocked on the window. And you said,
on a mission.
you said, Mrs. Harder, I wanted to meet you. So, yes, because I was talking about the podcast, and we'll be hearing from the Waco Iris Society as well. But you told me that, Nicholas, that you kind of helped do the marketing and stuff. And I said, I love having the Master Gardeners on. And it's been a while. It's been several years, I think, since I had some reps from Master Gardeners because they were about to have a class. And back at that time, they only did Master Gardeners classes like every 2 years. And, you know, and it's an intense thing. And we talked about all that. So some of those things have changed. Is that correct, Nicholas? You were telling me.
That is correct. Amy, who is our president of the McLennan County Master Gardeners Association, brought it to attention that, you know, we need to be able to bring up our ranks, you know, bring more folks in to, you know, be a part of the association. And one of the things that was brought was that we would go to a year every year on offering that class rather than every 2 years. I have personally experienced that, missing out on a year. The previous year, which I am a fresh member of the group now officially, but I was unable to join the first year that I found out about it because it was an off year.
Right.
And you had to scramble and scramble and scramble, and by the time I found out, missed it again just because I didn't catch the date. So I actually missed 3 years worth of time, so to speak. But it still works. It worked out.
He's made up for lost time.
Absolutely.
Very involved.
He was avid about all this, and it was so fun watching you visit with the members of the Iris Grower Society, you know, and I had so many questions, and people just, they love working in the garden. So Amy, first of all, tell me, when are the classes? Is it too late this year?
No, we just made the decision. Our members just voted actually about 3 weeks ago that we're going to have classes every year for the next 5 years.
Okay.
And we are working to determine a date in 2026 when we're going to actually host this class. And one of the other things we're trying to do is ensure we make it available to as wide a selection of interested individuals as we possibly can. So we're still making that decision right now. We are going to have a class in 2026, and
Okay.
we are going to have a class in 2027. So it's exciting.
So how long does it take to go through the class?
It takes approximately 60 to 70 hours of class time.
Okay.
And so we divide that over a span of time.
Okay.
I was certified in 2023. Nicholas was certified in 2025. And they offered 8 weeks of classes back to back to back. It doesn't always work for people to spend an entire day in a class setting. So we're
Right.
trying to evaluate how best to provide that this year.
Some options for that. Yeah, because I always had it in my mind, well, I got to wait till I retire.
And a lot of people do.
Yeah, because then you think I have the time to invest in it, and so you've got the hours of class time, but I understand there's also volunteer time you put in, right? Tell
correct.
me a little bit about that.
For the volunteer time, this for the internship, it was 60 hours.
Okay.
And so once you complete the class, which it was only 1 day a week, so that part was nice. I'm fortunate enough to work from home, so I was able to kind of
Yeah, work your schedule.
shuffle my schedule around a little bit. But yeah, it's 60 hours, and it varies. I mean, from different volunteering with events that we have going on within the association, to different items that are that we find that are, I'm sorry, lost my words there, that are approved for volunteer work.
Right. Things like the Carlene Bright Arboretum, right? Do you still do that? I know you used to.
We used to. We're not involved with them
Okay.
these days, but
Okay.
lots of other projects.
Okay, so at the time that you've been in, I bet you've done a lot of projects.
A lot of projects. 30 years. This is my 30th year.
Okay, so,
So,
a favorite
if-
project you worked on?
Oh gosh, I did enjoy the Arboretum a lot for many
yeah.
years, and just all of them. It's fun to try your hand at a lot of different things. We have school green classrooms. We have public gardens, demonstration gardens like Miss Nellie's Pretty Place in
Of
Cameron
course,
Park.
yeah.
We have a pollinator garden, so it's open to the public. It's just wander through, and the plants are marked, and you see the kinds of plants that attract pollinators. So there's that. We have several things that are directly bringing information to the public. For example, we go to the farmers market once a month and have a booth, and we have a different theme every month. So like in February, that's the time to prune roses. So we usually talk about how to prune roses. So it's a different subject every month, and we'll have 150 people stop by and gather information. We do a lunch with the masters once a month.
Wonderful speakers.
Wonderful speakers.
Oh, my goodness,
Different
yeah.
program every month. So
Niels
that's
Berry,
free to the
didn't he
public.
come?
No, Howard Garrett.
Oh, it's
did.
Howard Garrett. Yeah, right.
And sometimes it's a local speaker, and sometimes we bring in it's varies every month.
Yeah.
And kind of like your show, it's different every time.
Every day, something different.
So
Yeah.
a different subject every month. So we bring gardening information, because the main thing is that we want people to know is we are a volunteer arm of the Texas AgriLife Extension Service. So we're here to serve AgriLife, who is here to serve the community. So the idea is bringing gardening education to the community, assisting AgriLife to be able to share the knowledge that we've learned through Texas A&M. That's where we get our training.
And I just believe that there is just a fellowship of people that become good friends through this.
Absolutely.
Would you say that, Nick?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the intern class for myself, and we're all pretty close knit. And as we're doing our volunteer stuff, we pop up all at the same time, and so it's nice. And with those volunteer hours, we also meet the other members and get closer to them. So with me doing the newsletter, it's awesome. I walk into a meeting and everyone knows who I am. Oh, good job on the newsletter, or thanks for the information, or whatever it is that we've got going on. It's just it's a community in and of itself.
Well, since you mentioned the newsletter, let's talk about how can folks get more information from. Is that something that you are generating?
Yes. So we do offer our newsletter. You're able to sign up at our McLennan County site.
At our website?
At our website.
On
The
Facebook.
website, okay.
Correct. And then we also, as mentioned before, at the farmers market, we have a sign-up sheet that you're able to sign up on to receive the newsletter also.
Which is a free email newsletter. So
Yes.
Okay, so, and at this point, it's to be determined when the class is going to start. But this is a good time of year, though, for us to kind of talk about gardening, because I think people are in the planning stage. They're just now kind of getting back and looking at maybe their floral borders. And what we do with ours, we do let the vegetation just kind of stay, because we've always heard you let it stay over the winter because the little bugs and the critters and its cover and its shelter and all that kind of thing. But then after a while, you're like, this looks horrible. I'm ready to get it all cut down. I saw just recently from the Rose Emporium was talking about pruning roses, because you mentioned February pruning roses. And it said when all danger of frost is past. I did not know that. Have you ever heard that before?
We don't tend to follow the when all danger of frost to prune roses. I typically prune my roses right around. I've now set Valentine's Day.
Right.
It's a great reminder.
Right.
And so I will
Roses,
be
right.
pruning my roses back.
We always do too, either almost in late January even. Of course, this is Texas. We have weird weather.
Yes, and the reason that you heard don't prune them until all danger of frost is past. When you prune roses as anything, it sort of encourages new growth.
Yeah.
And if you've got really tender new growth on a rose and then you get a really hard freeze, it can set it back. And that's why some people will wait, but that's not what we really recommend usually, because if you wait, then you kind of set your whole season back. And Valentine's Day around here is what we've been taught through Texas A&M.
I know. I know. That's why I was shocked when I saw that. I thought, oh, well, I could guarantee you, all danger of frost hasn't passed by February. I mean, we do have a chance.
Yeah.
We can almost always have a late freeze somewhere
Yeah.
close to Easter.
My mother always said the Easter freeze. You got the Easter freeze. So how did you each get involved in gardening? Nicholas, let's start with you. Okay.
I got involved just by happenstance.
Really?
I went to a ceremony of some sorts, and I saw a little pothos, a little green and gold pothos, and I said, you know what, that's really cool. And a little old lady, she said, here, just take this and go put in some water, and you'll have your own. And
That's right. It does grow like
that's
that.
That's how it started. And
A
I had-
little piece of ivy. And there you go.
Yeah. And it went from that to I lived on a second story walk up, and I just wanted something to be on the porch, and so I started with morning glories that go crazy, and before I knew it, the whole floor had morning glories all over it. And I said, this is fun, and and it just kind of blossomed from there. It went from kind of a mix of indoor and outdoor to just anything I can get my hands on for the most part.
So do you kind of specialize in indoor tropical plants, or you still like the pots on the outside?
I would say houseplants in general probably are still my specialty. I've taken a real hard liking to succulents here. Not my best, but my mentor, who is also our vice president, Stephen Levecki, he was my mentor in my intern class, and he's just wonderful, and has such a variety of different succulents and cactus, and that's kind of been where my hand is.
Wow. Okay, Barbara.
What attracted me to Master Gardeners was, of course, I grew up with grandmothers who gardened and all that. But I went during college, I had a lot of horticulture and landscape architecture. So I kind of had a plant background already.
Oh, yeah.
And
Where did you go to college?
Texas Tech.
Okay.
And then the day before the first Master Gardener class was to close, the deadline, all of a sudden I opened the paper copy of the newspaper back in the day.
Right.
And there was this thing about this Master Gardener class, and I did a lot of volunteer work at that point in my life. And we hadn't been in Waco very long, and so I wasn't terribly involved. And all of a sudden, here's this class about gardening that incorporates volunteer work. I was like, well, that's
right up my street.
there I am. So I barely made the cut because I just found out about it. For some reason, I missed any earlier announcements, but I found out in time and joined the first class. And have just, done a variety of things over my 30 years.
I'll bet you have. You spoke to a women's group that I belong to, and it was just wonderful. Of course, anytime anybody's talking plants, they're singing my song for sure.
Well, it is the number one hobby in the country, I think.
So, you.
I did the same thing. I kind of came for the knowledge, but I stayed for the community. When I heard about Master Gardeners, I thought, oh, I'm going to learn a lot about plants. And I absolutely have. Yeah. But I found a community, particularly here, but I also think it's true across the country. Master Gardeners are generous spirits. Yeah. And so I have grown so much in terms of the community connections here in Waco, the places we're able to plug in and give, the education and the knowledge you get to share and gift it on. It's kind of like I think it's a Southern thing, pass along plants, where you pass along that pothos, or you pass along
Oh,
something. It's
yeah.
a thing, but our knowledge is something we can pass along, and it literally grows. And so I have just become so much in love with our community of gardeners because we share something and we pass to each other. And the story of my personal garden has grown with that. All these little plants that I propagated from someone else in the program. And so my garden is a story of these people that I get to do things with. So it's
Isn't
really fun.
isn't that the truth? I get real sentimental
Yeah.
about plants because they do remind you of people. And I have a dear friend, was a tennis partner of mine. She lived in the Dallas area. When she retired from teaching, she did the Master Gardener program. And of course, what they did up there in the Dallas area, she volunteered at a community garden and taught kids. So I mean, she was sort of using her giftings. But I have some plants still that, and she's gone on to be with the Lord. And every time I see it, I think of Kay, or I think, oh, that was my mother's favorite canna, and all that. So a lot more I want to talk to you about. I want to find out if you have a specialty in gardening, but we need to take a break. So we will do that. We will be back after these messages.
Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
Ready for a better kind of primary care?
At Patient First Direct Primary Care, you get unlimited office visits with same-day or next-day availability.
And instead of rushed appointments, we take the time to actually listen.
There are no insurance hassles, just clear, simple care.
You can reach us by phone or text because access shouldn't be complicated. Our practice has expanded to include Medicare-age patients as part of our direct primary care model.
It's a fresh alternative to the traditional insurance or government-driven systems, care that finally puts you first.
For more information, go to patientfirstdirect.com.
It's the President's Day sales event at Ellen Samuels, and we're making history. Right now, your choice, a brand new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sahara or Gladiator Sport, $10,000 off MSRP. Or step up to adventure with the 2025 Gladiator Rubicon or Mojave, $13,000 off MSRP. Plus, drive home a new 2026 Jeep Compass Latitude for $29,890. Big capability, big savings, limited time. Shop us in Waco or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Great products start with quality materials and trusted service. And no one's more committed than Universal Windows Direct of Central Texas. With windows built to last, backed by the best lifetime warranty. 0% financing is available with your good credit. Call Universal Windows Direct of Central Texas today for the last windows you'll ever need.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows.
And we're back with Amy and Barbara and Nicholas, and we are talking about the McLennan County Master Gardeners Society, right? Is it a society?
Association.
Okay, association. And there are lots of other gardeners. There is a Rose Society. We were talking about roses a minute ago. In fact, they've come and they took a tour of my garden, my backyard, and I went, I'm really not an expert on any of this. I just enjoy it. So do you, Amy, have a plant that you really especially love?
All of them.
All of the above.
But
Okay, that's all right.
Nicholas, I'm with you on the pothos.
Yeah.
I now have about 5 different varieties of pothos, and there's the pass along, that's the traditional, but I also have a neon pothos, and I have a marble queen, and I have one of the Hawaiian versions that are the large leaf. So I love the pothos, and I'm learning to grow the different varieties that are native Texas plants. I've grown into
Yes.
that this year to really expand my perennials that are native Texas plants. That's been the thing I've been growing in.
That's a good plant, and I've had members of the Native Plant Society of Central Texas here on the show, and they've given me some starts of things that are doing great. And of course, it's wonderful to have those plants that they're acclimated to Texas. We love to watch Gardener's World. Monty Don is a rock star. It's a British show, British gardening. They've been doing it for like 50 years. I don't know. And see, I see these British gardens, and I think, oh, I want a British cottage garden. The only problem is I live in Central Texas, So there's that. But we have learned a lot from that show, and I want to ask if there's sources you like to learn from.
Well, one thing you just said is something that's inspiring me right now. So we partner with Pape Gardens in historic Waco. They've been so generous to let us meet at their location, and we host our children's garden fair there.
Yeah.
And it's inspired me because, as you know, if you love roses in Central Texas, rose rosette is a thing.
Heartbreaking thing. I will
Heartbreaking
tell
thing.
you.
But we have these beautiful traditional gardens at Pape Gardens. And what do you do if rose rosette is in a spot and you still want that traditional style? So we're working to try to consider, we have a committee that's trying to come up with alternatives for that area that you could plant something that would have that feel, that historic feel, but using more suitable plants or plants that are not prone to that disease. We don't have the solution yet, but that's one of the things
they're
we're
working
partnering
on
with.
it.
The
We
ADA's
are
researching
working on
it.
There's
Yeah,
a lot
the
of research.
Right. Mike Shoup, I had the chance to visit with him. He's the one that founded the Antique Rose Emporium, and he is one. In fact, they gave me a rose and a Cecile Brunner, and it was fabulous. And sure enough, that telltale witch's broom kind of look and all the thorn, and it just makes my heart hurt when I think about it. So I took a picture of it and I sent it to him. I said, Mike, is this? And he goes, yep. I said, can I, and it was so big. I said, can I just prune this out? Nope. Get rid of it.
And there's no cure at this point. A&M is
No.
trying to do a lot of research on it and at least figure out maybe if there are some varieties that are less susceptible.
Yeah. Well, and antique roses tend to be.
More so than
Tend to be more so.
than
So, Barbara, what do you have a favorite plant?
Well, I'm real big on natives, and I call myself a lazy gardener. I don't want to have to redo all the soil for azaleas, for example. I love azaleas
I
are beautiful,
know,
but
I
they
know.
don't grow well here,
They
and I'm
don't
not
like
going to
it.
spend that much time on them. And I also feel like I want to be a steward of our resources, and I don't want to plant things that take so much water
Right.
and fertilizer that's going to run off into our water supply and that
Right,
sort of
you need
thing.
to think
So
about, the
I'm
whole
real big
ecology of everything.
on things that are particularly natives or at least well adapted and that use less water. I think we just all need to move more toward that direction where we can. I mean, even like the cottage garden look from England with all the wonderful flowering plants that pollinators need. And I'm also real big on butterfly plants. We want to save
Right.
our bees and monarchs and all. But so many of those pollinator plants really look like, you can make that cottage garden look
Turk's
out of
cap,
those
all those.
out of beautiful native blooming plants that are helping the pollinators too. So it's just a learning thing and adjusting your attitude toward what all you can plant. But I do not do houseplants very well at all. That's my least
Well,
favorite
everybody
thing.
kind of has their bent and I go through phases. I went through a phase where cannas. We have a big space behind us with a kind of a white brick fence. And I thought something tall like cannas, and it's kind of wet down there, and they like wet feet because the water sort of drainage runs that way. But those things, they can take over
the world.
They can take over, and so we've kind of gotten to where we put them in pots now. That's where they can be contained. But I just kind of go through phases. But iris, I do love iris. I love the time of year that they're just because they're such a showy.
They're
plant.
glorious.
So I met you with the iris. What irises are you growing? Are you growing them in pots?
I am growing them in pots. I wouldn't be able to tell you the names. This is actually my first year in the Iris Society. I'm pretty new also.
Okay.
But I just took a liking to them. I started with Canada lilies also. I have a little pond that I created, and I just happened to put some in there. And
Yeah, they're going to love that.
they took off.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. I took them and put them in pots because I was like, I'm not, nope, not doing that. But yeah, this is really my first go around with irises. I've always been interested because of, I mean, all the way from irises to tulips. I love hyacinths, but my overall favorite still pothos varieties and philodendrons. I just love all of the colors that are available. There's one particular a dragon tail pothos. It has these fenestrated leaves that look like dragon footprints.
Really?
And it's really
That's
beautiful.
fun.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I am.
You know, we haven't talked about vegetables at all.
Yes, when
and we
you
should.
mentioned, I thought of that. You said your grandmothers and my grandmother, they all were gardeners, but they had to be because that's what they ate.
Yes, and I've grown a lot of vegetables. I don't currently because we downsized a couple. I've grown a lot of vegetables, and because we haven't mentioned it, I just wanted to throw it out that we do certainly offer a lot of vegetable training in Master Gardeners. One of the things, once one becomes certified as a Master Gardener, there is advanced training in different subjects. So you ask my interest, I have a advanced training in earth kind, roses and plants, and
I have heard of that.
There's
That's a registered trademark, isn't it?
yes, and there is it's a method of growing that makes you know, you have to use less water and fertilizer if you use the earth kind method.
Yeah.
Also, but we have there's a vegetable specialist, there's a tree specialist, a entomology specialization. So once one becomes a Master Gardener, if you have a particular interest and want to learn more, there is training available, and then you become a specialist in that and are able to share that with the community. So there's so many different ways one can plug into Master Gardeners, whether you love digging in the dirt and working with your hands, or you love doing things like marketing and publicity, and or you're just a good organizer to help organize these events, or you know, just
Kids,
a lot of variety.
The children, I love seeing the light bulb come on for children. You know, we have a green classroom at Woodway. And
Okay. Is it Woodway Elementary?
Woodway Elementary.
Okay. Yeah.
And seeing a second grade child pull their first radish, that's one of the things we grow
Of
is
course, yeah.
radishes. And the other thing that's entertaining is they will try a vegetable they grew that they would never consider trying.
No.
And we do that, and then just getting children to think about how plants grow,
Where we
And
get our food.
where we get our food and how plants grow. It's been amazing to see how the light bulb comes on for kids at different projects. It's
Tell
fun.
Ann about our children's garden fair.
Oh, the Children's Garden Fair is so much fun.
Yeah. When is that?
It's in the fall, in late October.
Okay.
I don't know the date this year, but it's late October. And we have about 12 different booths that families can bring their children, and they do things. We did this last year, we had bees, so they learn about pollinators. We had a metamorphosis booth, so they learn about
the butterflies. Yeah.
about the butterflies,
Propagation.
how to start plants. They had scavenger hunt. There's just so many different events, and families, it's free to the public. Families bring their children, and this year it was so much fun. We did it later in October, and the kids dressed up in their costumes and came out.
Oh,
and
like
so
for
they had a
Halloween.
beautiful day. Our weather can be
Yeah.
so friendly in October.
It really can. October can be beautiful.
So
yeah.
it's a beautiful
And was
time.
that at the Pape?
That was at
Gardens?
Pape.
Okay, okay.
We've had it at Miss Nellie's Pretty Place in
Right.
some years, and this year we had it at Pape Gardens.
Yeah.
So it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Do you have a tip? What's your favorite gardening tip?
Compost and mulch.
Okay.
It's the panacea.
Well, it's important because we have that black clay, and
So you-
it's like,
So
yeah.
if you amend the soil with
You
good
got to
quality
amend it.
compost, then you're adding organic matter and you're also loosening up that clay.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you keep, this is part of the earth kind method that I was talking about, if you keep mulch on top of keep a layer of mulch there, it's kind of like the forest floor. You know, you put mulch out and 2 years later you go, where is that mulch?
Right.
Well, it has
Degraded
degraded and become part of the soil. So that's really feeding the soil. So if you keep a good organic, non-dyed mulch on top of it, a good natural native hardwood mulch on top, that's going to break down and continue to feed the soil and make more compost. So if you do nothing else and you do those two things,
Yes.
you're 60%, 70% of the way toward a successful gardening of any kind.
And
Good.
less water.
There's
of
better,
course, yeah,
lots of
that's-
reasons I
so-
could go into.
Water
that-
retention is going to really
And
really
it
help.
reduces weeds, and it mulch keeps the soil cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. And, you know, there's so many reasons why all that works. But
Around trees, though, you have to be careful not to pile it up
well,
too
you don't
much.
want it right up against the trunk because it would
Right.
not get the air it needs. But
Yeah.
that's my tip.
Okay. So Nicholas, what's your favorite tip?
One that I'm still learning is stop watering your succulents. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Let them be. Let them be.
I know you can kill them with kindness. That's for sure.
That is my, you know, I have a heavy hand of love. I'm here for your needs, but don't water them. Just let them grow. Just let them grow.
I grow orchids too, and have found they like it around my bathtub that has glass blocks and a southern exposure.
Oh, that's pretty.
And if they like the light, man, orchids are not that intimidating. I have learned.
And isn't it exciting when they
And
rebloom?
when it's like, it's sitting got a bloom spike. Oh my goodness,
That's
yes,
right.
they're starting to bloom again.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay, your favorite tip?
My favorite tip is plant the right plant for the right setting.
Amen,
Excellent,
sister.
excellent.
Yeah, because it's you know, I've tried all the things, and there's some they just don't try hard enough.
You're just not working hard enough.
You're just not trying. But more than that is when you pick the right plant for the setting, they reward you so well. And I love blooms. I love blooms and color. And so once I found the ones that work in our area, I just enjoy it every day.
Yeah. Well, I love perennials, and we have tried to have a lot more perennials. You know, to me, it's kind of less work, and I like things that reseed and come back every year because the poppies are starting to grow. I mean, I'm starting to see them, and I love that because I just feel like the Lord has planted them. Let's see where the Lord decided to plant them this year, you know, or the birds
turn
or
up
whatever, you
everywhere,
know. But sometimes a plant will come up and it'll be the mystery plant, and I'll think, oh, is this, you know, and we'll
Wait
go
and
ahead
see.
and we'll let it grow.
Yes.
And then use our little app on the phone and find out what it is. And to me, it's fascinating to read the history of particularly some of the Texas native plants and how the native peoples would use those plants for medicinal purposes and all that kind of thing. It's just a fascinating world.
Speaking of reseeding plants, let us tell you about our plant sale.
Please, that's in May.
That's in May, and it's the second Saturday in
First
May.
Saturday.
First Saturday.
First.
excuse me,
Saturday
First
in May.
Saturday. So there's time to buy things for Mother's Day,
Yeah.
and it is plants from our gardens. So
Right.
it's things that have reseeded in our yard that we can dig and pot up and have mature enough to be at the plant sale, or it's things that we have propagated by cuttings. But it's basically pass along plants. So it's plants that do well here, and that's unusual in other master gardeners have plant sales, but I think we're the only one that
Grow so
grows
many of
everything.
Right. So you're
ours are-
not contracting with a grower somewhere and
Right.
just as a fundraiser.
It's our
But
only,
it is a
it's our
fundraiser.
It is
only
a fundraiser,
fundraiser. So it helps the funds from that help us do all these community projects, and but it's really the public loves it. We've been doing it for many years now, and there'll be a line down the
I've
sidewalk.
been many times, and you have better get there early.
The most interesting
Yes.
there
plants
won't be
go
anything
early.
left, you know.
Yeah.
I will add real quick. One of the only things that I'm a little upset about is that I no longer can purchase from the plant sale.
Oh, is that a
I've gone-
rule?
Yeah, we don't get to purchase early.
Yeah.
I will say from experience though, as a consumer, get there early, like we mentioned.
Yeah, well, that's that's kind of good to know
yeah,
from someone like me who's just coming to the sale to know it's not all picked over by all the members of the
No,
club.
it's not.
no,
it's not.
and
Okay, they won't let us.
In fact,
will- they
there's
will
some
not let
sad.
you.
Now, then there are some people that you start to learn who grows what, and you try to make a chance to get your own cuttings early,
Right,
so you can
right.
grow them yourself. But yeah, that's really fun. The plant sale, and then I thought you were going to mention the seed bank,
Well, that's
because
I would say,
Yeah.
tell me about the seed bank.
we harvest seeds and gather them and then package them to give and gift to gardeners. So at times our seed bank will be at the farmers market or other events. We do lunch with the masters, and sometimes our seed bank is there. But we try to pass along seeds.
Just
so
little baggies of free seeds.
Oh, that's wonderful. So many other questions I have for you, but our time is up, so that means you have to come back. So especially, before the May sale for sure. And would you know when the program's going to get started for the McLennan County Master Gardeners course? How many in your membership now? Do you have?
84.
Oh my goodness.
Excuse me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. 84. All right. Well, you got lots of volunteers and lots of great projects going on, and I appreciate your time so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having
lovely
us.
seeing you again and getting to know the two of you. Yes, and
know.
we'll be hearing more about plants for sure. Stay
Absolutely.
with us. There is more of the show ahead. Welcome back to the show. Today we're continuing our discussion about tradition, and this one is about a flower that carries both elegance and meaning, and that is the iris. Joining us today are members of the Waco Iris Society. It's a group that's dedicated not only to growing these beautiful blooms, but also preserving the knowledge and the community and the joy that comes along with gardening. Honored to welcome the Waco Society's president, Ken Anderson, along with Peggy Cathy. Now, do you have a...
I'm the treasurer and also the newsletter editor.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. And Jackie Roberts. And are you an officer?
I'm the secretary.
Okay. So we've got the executive committee
Yes,
here
we do.
with us today. And, whether you're a gardener or somebody that just loves stopping to admire a beautiful bloom or flower bed, this conversation will be about more than just plants. We're going to talk about a specific flower that we all love, and that is the iris. So thank y'all for being here today. Ken, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved with the Waco Iris Society.
I moved to Gatesville back in 2002, and I'd seen an ad in the paper, a show, and I came in very late, right at the end of the show, and one of the members, Michael O, talked me into joining the Waco Iris Society.
Uh-huh.
And so that's when that was probably maybe 2004, 2005.
Oh, so it's been a long time.
Long time. Because I came from South Texas, and people that had irises rarely saw blooms, so very few people even grew them because they wouldn't bloom that far south.
But just because it's so hot?
Because they need that winter chill. They need a certain number of hours, like in the 40s or 30s, even's good.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't get that in South Texas. So when I moved to Gatesville, I saw them everywhere. And I thought, oh, I can grow these. So I bought my first two at Home Depot, I think, and I was very excited about what could come out of a little ugly little rhizome, but it got me started. So
Yeah, it's not a bulb. It's referred to as a rhizome, and it's kind of looks like a, I don't know, ginger root or something sort of.
Right.
But anyway, we're going to talk more about some of the particulars. I want to get to Peggy. What started your interest in irises?
Well, I actually live in Covington, which is about 50 miles south of here, and I found out that there was a garden, a retail garden, just 2 miles from my house. So I went there, and the people were just so sweet and so nice, and they invited me to a meeting in Cleburne, and I joined that club in 2000, and one of our members was a member here in Waco, and he kept saying, you need to come and show. So I showed the same show that Ken first went to and got best of show.
Wow.
And so I thought I better join this club. so I
Good.
joined at their first meeting after the show, and have been here ever since. So
I found a show and they were having a potted iris sale at the show, which we do at all of our shows. And I told my wife I want to go to get some new irises. And she said, why do you have to go to the show? I said, well, to get the irises I want to grow, you have to go to these type situations. You can't buy them at a local nursery. And so I went to the show and bought, I think, 9 potted irises. Got talked by Ken into joining the Waco Club. And that's how I became involved in the Waco Club.
Well, I think it's interesting that none of you live in Waco. I think that's awesome. We really, here in Waco, we attract people from all over to be a part of the Iris Society. What is the mission of the Waco Iris Society, Ken?
Primarily want to just, increase people's knowledge of the plant, and how it can be grown and the value of having it in your yard. It's, some of them are relatively easy to care for. So for people that don't want to be bothered with something a lot, they can grow certain varieties that, that rewards them every year with a nice color in their yard. So,
well, are they really difficult to care for? I mean, we think roses, you got to prune them. You've got, there's a lot involved with roses. And then there's rosette. There's all kinds of issues with roses. Do you find that same kind of situation with irises?
Well, for me, the difficulty I've had is the heavy soil.
Yeah.
And ours is like sandy loam, good draining soil, not too much mulch and that kind of thing. But I have the heaviest soil just you can have, really, black clay.
Oh, yeah,
from
that's what we
Gatesville.
have too. Yeah.
And it's almost impossible. Although I've found that the older varieties do well in that type of soil. I mean, they will survive and keep coming back year after year. So that's why I've been drawn to growing more what they call historic. Those are at least 30 years old. So most of, or at least half of the ones I've kept are historic. They're from 1996 or earlier.
But people are always hybridizing.
Right.
I mean, there's always new, I don't know how many thousands of iris
That's right.
are there.
That's right. Thousands.
Yeah. So Jackie, you kind of like the new ones, right?
Yes, ma'am. So I've went to the extreme of building raised beds, bringing in soil with lots of experimentation, failure, and now some success. And I'm growing about 600 different irises.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I have historics, as Ken says. You can always depend on them. There's a lot of rebloomers, and rebloomers are the one that bloom in the spring and in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the historics rebloom, but you can always count on the historics to bloom. But yes, I do like the new, latest, greatest stuff, which is, some of it can be harder to grow, and some of it's just as easy to grow. It's just trial and error.
Well, that's what I have found with irises. I've gone out to Michael Lowe's place, and he's got, I don't know, 1,000 irises out in Robinson. And it is amazing to go there when they're in bloom. And you can just walk along and see the ones you like and make a note. And then I buy them in the fall because that's when he lifts them, and that's when you buy them. But I've bought from him. I've bought from Brex, national company that who knows where, Holland, I don't know where they're located. But again, have had not a lot of success with some of these just because of the quality of the soil. And some of them have rotted because I think they get too much water.
Yeah.
That's right. There are many that probably shouldn't even be watered much at all during the summer.
Isn't that crazy?
But if you
Yeah.
get summer rains, I mean, what can you do? You can't control that. So
Right.
they get too much water and they can rot. So
Yeah, so mine are like in a flower bed that gets watered regularly. So anyway, we've kind of transferred now to big barrels. So we're going to try to grow them in barrels. Have you had any luck with irises? And of course, you say you have a raised bed, so it's basically the same thing.
So it goes back to, you have to accept that certain hybridizers, that's the people that are cross-pollinating and creating this flower, certain ones just aren't going to grow for us. And you have to experiment and find, and then you find others that'll grow like weeds. There are literally some of the older cultivars, I think you could grow them out, throw them out on top of a rock and they would grow. So,
well, I mean, you see them along the roadside. I mean, you see irises. Particularly the old varieties, like you said.
But we all grew up in a world of white, purple, and yellow, and it's just not that way anymore. I mean, there's every color imaginable, you know, different styles, different forms. So you have to, you know, just trial and error, and it's like with any garden, that's the way you have to do it, because you're going to lose some.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What makes the iris well suited for a Central Texas garden, though?
Well, I think from my perspective is that we're far enough north so we get at least some winter, what we would really call winter, some freezing temperatures, and that helps set that bloom and makes them more apt to bloom. We've had some really good years recently when we've had hard freezes.
Oh, Ice-Mageddon. When Ice-Mageddon happened,
yes,
I think Storm Uri, when it was and so many Texans died. I mean, it was horrible. It was a horrible, but the irises were crazy that spring.
That's right.
And I was seeing on Facebook, so I said, I've had this iris for 9 years and it's never bloomed. And it's black or whatever. It's one of these real exotic irises. But it is such a beautiful flower. It's like a work of art to me, an iris is. Is that what kind of enchants you with it, Peggy?
Yeah, the different colors. There's a size for every garden,
right,
and a kind for every garden. You know, if you've got a garden that stays really wet, then you want to grow Louisiana irises because they like the moisture, and they can be mulched, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's just certain ones that do better in certain situations, you know, different, like the spurias. Jackie just got a lot of new spurias that he's tickled to death with. Those you never have to move because the clumps get bigger. But with bearded irises, you do need to dig and divide them every 3 or 4 years, or they're going to stop blooming because the clumps just get so tightly knit together compacted that they just quit blooming.
So that's why I've got one called Just the Ticket that is a rebloomer. It would bloom at Christmas time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going crazy because I've got irises around the holidays. It's just, I had 3 different rebloomers this year.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, that one was always, and it hadn't bloomed, but it's been there. I've got that clump for about, so you lift them and separate them in the fall, though.
In the fall is the best time. Right. That's why we have our sales in September, because that's the best time to dig them. You know, if you read any book on irises, it says dig in August. Well, that's not going to work in Texas.
No, that's so
it's
hot.
It's just too hot, yeah. So you wait till September when it starts to cool off just a tad, and usually we start getting some more rain because they go dormant during the summer, and that's why you don't really want to overwater them during the summertime when it's really hot, because they're just going to steam like a steamed potato or something.
Well, really? Yeah, exactly. And I see sometimes people will cut them into fan shapes. I've never done that. When do you do that?
You just need to do that when you dig them. You don't, you know, I mean, I would never go out in the garden and start cutting them back. Now, you can cut back brown leaves, brown tips, or whatever.
Right,
yeah,
clean them
trim
up.
those, but where they look nice. But there's no reason to go out there because the leaves are what makes the food to feed the rhizome.
There you go. Okay. Speaking of food, then, what do you feed your irises, and when do you do that?
Now.
Oh, okay.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's, okay, yeah.
Give them some
February.
love on Valentine's Day.
So what do you feed them?
You could, some of the best would be like 10, 20, 10, or anything where the 3 numbers are the same, you know, like 10, 10, 10, 8, 8, 8, something like that, or any organic fertilizer. because the organic fertilizer is going to feed the soil, and the soil will then feed the plant. And where chemical, it just goes straight, straight to the plant, and it's not building your soil like some of the organics will.
Now, Ken, you mentioned this black clay that we all deal with all the time that just, it's like concrete. How do you amend that? What is your recommendation for that?
Well, I've tried, whereas gypsum is a good product. That helps it really helps it make it more workable, because it's kind of like adding flour to butter when you're cooking. It just sort of breaks it down. Then, you can add in some other kinds of sand. I've used decomposed granite. I've used.
That's pretty.
Yeah, that's
big.
kind of
That's pretty pebbly.
But when you have that heavy soil, anything that'll help that break apart will help. If you use any synthetic, like there's vermiculite and perlite and those kinds of things, they will help. But the problem with those that I've found is when you're watering or it rains, that stuff tends to kind of float to the top and then maybe
And it
disappears.
also holds moisture.
And it does hold moisture. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I have learned that wet feet, maybe for at least the tall bearded, they do not like that. What are some of the other pests that you deal with?
The only one that I've battled is aphids and cutworms, but the biggest one would be grubworms.
Grubworms, okay.
The grubworms will eat the roots. I've seen grubworms get so bad they even start eating the rhizomes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What about snails and slugs?
I've had a problem with snails. So
They're there. I mean, they may not be doing a lot of damage, but you just don't want them.
Yeah, well, they'll eat on the rhizomes. We don't have those big apple snails like I've seen here in Waco. One of our members, she had the great big one.
Oh yeah,
so I was always
you
careful.
can see them, and you can easily pick them off, and I just throw them over the fence.
Yeah. Oh, I like to hear them pop. But I don't usually have those great big ones.
Oh, well, irises have a long history and symbolism that's tied to hope and faith and wisdom. Does that resonate with you as iris growers?
I don't know. I'd say it resonates with me. I know I can go out into my garden and spend 8 hours, and at the end of the day, I'm like, well, where'd the day go?
Where'd the time go?
The garden is something I didn't start this until I retired. When I was working full time and raising a family and doing all the things that you have to do, you just couldn't have a garden like I've gotten it and be successful. So I waited until I retired, and so. That's my wife will tell you. That's where I'm at my happiest is when I'm in my garden.
Yeah, digging in the dirt. What about you all?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and going out in the morning just to see what's blooming. That's the first thing I do. Walk the garden to see what's blooming today.
In April through July, every morning is like Christmas.
Yeah,
I know when
that's right.
And when you have a new one that's not bloomed yet, doubly. I mean, it's like. Oh man, it's coming. It's bottle rocket's about to bloom, or whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
I do get really excited about irises. My mother always loved irises, but she grew, like you said, the yellow, the purple, the typical ones everybody had. It's my understanding they kind of got their origin in Germany, in the cold country, and maybe that's why as a plant it likes that cold weather to do well.
Right.
Well, and that's the bearded iris.
Right.
We can also grow like Peggy said. We can grow Louisiana iris. We can grow Sperry iris, which are from the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Its growth is very similar, almost to a pampas grass.
Really?
I mean, it gets really tall. The blooms, it's nothing for them to be 4 foot tall.
Huh? Really?
And it's a beardless iris, so it bloom forms very much like a Louisiana. And then we can grow arrowbred irises, which Errol is from, there's
Afghanistan.
yeah, there's pictures of Errol irises in the pyramids.
Yes.
Really?
And so it just shows you how long man has been
Mm-hmm.
doing this.
Loving irises.
Yeah.
Back to one of your original questions about something that's easy to grow and take care of. If I had known, like the old saying, if I had known what I know now, years ago, I would have probably have really focused on spurrier iris, because you can just sort of leave them alone. You can water them occasionally if you want to, and they'll die down. It's not very pretty in the summertime, because about middle of June or July, along about there, they just completely just dry up and look like they're dying.
Yeah.
Well, the leaves just
They're
die
dormant.
off, and they're dormant. But then when a rain comes in September, or around mid-September, October.
Yeah, don't dig it up because it's not done.
Absolutely. Then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, here they come. And then, then you have this beautiful green growth all back. And in fact, one of the pictures I sent to you is along my back fence, the yellow, that is a spurrier iris. I do not know the variety, but
Okay.
a lady gave them to me probably 20 years ago. She gave me one or two yellow ones, one or two purples, and I planted them. And years later, I wanted to get them away from where they were to put something else. So I called Peggy to get her advice. So I thought I had dug them all, and I moved them to my back fence. But the next year, there was one little sprig still left in that bed. Now there's
You got
probably
another.
30 or 40 again in a big bunch.
Well, that's cool.
They take care of themselves.
Yeah.
That's one of the great things. They pretty much take care of themselves. That trimming that you do maybe in July or August to get all that dead leaves
Just to
off, just
clean
to
it up.
tidy up.
Yeah.
That's probably the basic work
Really?
that you have to do, and maybe sprinkle a little fertilizer on them.
Well, this is new. This is new to me.
Well,
so
just
I'm-
like here a couple of weeks ago, we had 3 inches of ice on the ground.
that's true.
And my spurrier, that's like, okay, send me more.
Really?
They're still just as pretty and green now as they were before
Oh,
the
my goodness.
ice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is kind of interesting to hear, because a lot of people want to go to a sort of a landscape that uses water and is less care. And it sounds like in Texas that variety would be a great addition to a more native looking bed.
Right, I think it would. And it also doesn't seem to mind the heavy soil. I mean, where these were growing, they were just almost pure black mud. I mean,
I know.
it's either rock hard or it's so sticky you can't get it off the shelf.
And that's something a lot of people don't understand about the bearded irises. They really don't care if you water them or not.
Yeah.
So there are several hybridizers that their rhizomes don't want water other than the rain.
Yeah.
And so people can plant them. They'll either bloom in the spring or in the spring and the fall, so they don't get a lot until the clump gets bigger, but they don't have to do anything the rest of the year. They don't care if they get watered. They just don't care. They're really simple to grow.
Yeah,
Wow, wow. So let's talk about the Waco Iris Society, your show. Now, this is a big deal. And when is the show again?
So April the 11th.
April the 11th. All right. And that will be where? Do you have a location?
At the Holiday Inn Express
Okay.
South.
I think you were there last
Yes,
year.
we were last year
right.
by the medical center.
Right behind
Hillcrest.
Baylor Scott and White.
Mhm, Baylor Scott and White. So is there a charge to come to the
No
show?
charge.
And you will see the most beautiful blooms. And that's the juried show. Do you all act as judges yourself? Have you before?
I'm a judge. Jackie is about to become a judge.
Okay, good.
But, we don't judge our shows because then we couldn't enter.
Right.
So we like to enter the shows, and then we get outside judges to come in, usually 2, 3, however many we can find, because, all the clubs in Texas are having their show at the same time.
Right, because that's when the irises are blooming.
Yes.
So that's, it does get to be, I guess, pretty busy time. But when you come to the Waco Iris Society, how often do you meet?
We meet 5 times a year.
Okay.
So we start in September, and then we have a sale also in September. And then we meet in November and January and March. and then we have our show in April, and then we have our our May luncheon.
Okay.
We get together somewhere and have lunch, and the show awards are presented, and then we take the summer off.
Well, it's a great group of people. My husband and I have thoroughly enjoyed meeting with you all when we can, and everything we've learned from the Waco Irish Society has been awesome. Thank you so much, Ken and Peggy and Jackie, for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a Rogue Media Network production.